You can support this show at patreon.com/ASAPodcasting. Welcome to a Skyrim Addict podcast, where I will discuss my adventures and misadventures through Skyrim. Join me. Add your stories, add your tales. Let's get into this thing. Welcome. Oh, sorry about that. Welcome back. Skyrim Addict podcast 149. I'm Michael. I'm with Steve.
Hello, how are you today, sir?
And Victor.
Hey, everybody.
What's
going on?
We were talking organs momentarily. And we're all going to delve back into Skyrim. I had a mod debacle on Xbox One.
Oh, God.
That we'll get into.
It's not hard on Xbox to have mod
Dear
debacles.
Dr. Victor.
Yeah.
I never thought it would happen to me.
And Michelle's in the chat. Hello, Michelle. How are you doing?
Hey, Michelle.
Hello.
I should pop up YouTube over here.
As we were speaking of Canada prior to this, also. But so quickly, let's get into the rebirth of Skyrim Book Club in its new form.
Absolutely.
Oh, you're sweet. You're starting with me. That's fantastic. Okay,
Let's
so what do you want to
that.
know?
So your other feed filled up pretty much. you ran out of books.
I mean, I'll spare you the complaining and griping about that. I've managed to. So I'll talk about that for a second, I guess. I've managed to inch it back up to about 200 episodes or so on iTunes.
Nice.
And the punchline is that like you say, I hit the limit. It started coughing. I feel like I was in this endurance race, like the Baja Rally or something over the last 2.5 years. I'm just pounding on my Jeep, and it doesn't matter about the weather. I'm getting it done. I only blew a tire once the whole time in 2 years, And then I get to the finish. I could see it. I could see the finish line, and the engine dies, and I just kind of roll over the end, roll over the finish line, because in the end, the goal was to do the project, right? Was to have the archive available in some form. And yes, I will sort of over time digitize or turn them all into videos and put them on YouTube as well. But I just wanted people to be able to go to iTunes and Skyrim Book Club, and there's 690 books or whatever, right? But I got to 670 and everything just started to choke. So yeah, but that project's basically done. I mean, you did the last reading for the show, which was fantastic. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Well, there was some really interesting symmetry. You're laughing, but I feel like, I'd done a few episodes and stuff before you kind of found it and brought me on the show. But as I've said in previous episodes, you kind of brought me to the world a little bit, if you will, and introduced me to a larger group of people, in the Facebook group and all that kind of stuff, right? So there was this nice sort of harmony to having you read the last book, That felt very complete to me. So I do appreciate that. Thank you.
I appreciated doing it. That was a fun read.
Yeah, and then of course we destroyed all that harmony by putting in Rogatus's letter on Father's Day, because I was holding that one back for a good stretch because he just tears the strip off his kid, right? But so anyway, so I'm wandering. I mean, so the punchline is, I've slowly been inching it. I've been getting convincing my feed to put a few more episodes every couple of days, just by pinging and resyncing and all that. So we'll see. But there's a couple hundred episodes of Skyrim Book Club. Of course, all the rest of them exist on the website. It's not the best advertisement because a lot of them were very short near the end, and you're just seeing the most recent 200. But it's there. I accomplished the goal. I had a good time. On to the new hotness.
Yeah.
I would say in the last 6 months of the show or so, people started to smell the end coming. They're like, "Oh, there's a lot of notes, buddy. There's not a lot of quality content." It would be awesome if you started reading books from other games that actually had a story. And so on and so forth.
Oh man!
So I got that from a few different quarters, and they asked me on Character Crusade about that. I think maybe you asked me in an episode or not, but. Long story short, I started thinking about that. And there's all this really interesting lore, in ESO and all that kind of stuff. So the idea for Arcanium Edition was born. So the idea there is that we dig into, like, say, past books that haven't gotten that far, that didn't make the jump to Skyrim, or like plumb the depths of the literally thousands of books in Elder Scrolls Online
that are tons and tons and tons of books.
Yeah, so it effectively launched today. I have you, if you may recall, listeners may recall that near the end I was starting to drop in like Green Pact lore about the Bosmer and stuff, right? Because again, they're sort of short episodes, so I dropped something a little sort of meatier or more interesting. So they all come from ESO. So just to have a bit of a backlog for people to listen to initially, all those 10 episodes are there. They're sort of like segregated on that feed now. And I started today with like a book on the Hammerfell royalty or whatever. And I think I'm going to try and sort of keep to that theme. Like what I'll do is I'll find a subject matter or a personality or something, or like a character, etc., that I find interesting. And then I'll try to figure out like what all the books about them or that it are, right?
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah.
So, you know, so like we'll do maybe 5 or 6 books about the Hammerfell lineage, right? And then we'll go on and we'll find some other interesting piece of lore and expand that. So it's, and then, you know, the fiction too. I'll pull the fiction out. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like the recipes and the short lists and the career notes, I mean, those days are done. You know?
Yeah. You don't have to be a completionist and do those now because you're doing topics as opposed to.
Yeah. And also just sort of a little more free to like do the things that I want to do. Mm-hmm. Like I certainly enjoyed Skyrim Book Club from start to finish. It was a lot of fun. It was a good learning process. I mean, I play the game completely differently now. You'll bump into something that seems innocuous and I'm like, I know what that's about. Because, you know, I've read
everything.
About it, right?
You've literally read every book.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun to like dig through it all. But there were days where I just felt awful. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, so here's a grocery list, a Bolly's to-do list, and you know, some guy's contract for selling, you know, apples, you know. But it's just because if you open it, it's readable. Therefore, I wanted to do that. But yeah, so with Arcanium Edition, as I said, I think last time we were on, like I'll probably do a couple a week. I mean, if I get inspired, maybe I'll do a bit more. But do a couple a week and then stick with sort of themes. You know, you'll get a batch of books about a particular topic. I don't intend to I'm not going to be like condescending enough to say I'm going to teach you, but like let's amalgamate some of the lore about interesting parts of the game. So it's all kind of in a chunk. So then when you're running through ESO later or whatever, you bump into it and you kind of know a bit more about the world now if you've listened to the show.
That's a good idea because it is like you come across the books kind of randomly in the games, you know, and they'll be in sections. Like if you're going through whatever a quest line, you'll get a few things towards that. But as far as the larger events in the world, it's nice to have all that information like together like that and listen to it through and kind of get an idea of all the things in context as opposed to, I found this book over here and then 5 days later when I was playing, I found it over here, something else about it over here, and then 6 months later, I found something else about, you know, or I found something in ESO and then I found something in Oblivion, and how do they go together and all that. So,
yeah, exactly. No, and I think that's very interesting for sure to approach it from that way. And then we've talked about this before about how like just the books themselves have a lot of value. Like the fiction's very good, but I sort of had this insight is like all of it's fiction though. So it's all storytelling. It's all storytelling. Like it's not like I'm reading you like, you know. I mean, real history is interesting too, of course, but you know, it's not dry sort of real world history that you need to memorize for an exam. Like it's all fiction. It's all storytelling, right? So if you can string it together, like you're saying, into a larger piece and tell an interesting story as a consequence, I mean, that seems sort of fun to me. And then while I haven't done it yet, I imagine that when it's appropriate, the next thing I want to kind of learn to do well, and there'll be a learning curve, people, I'm sorry, but like to sort of put in like sound effects, like maybe lay under some music. If it's say you're dealing with a piece of fiction where you come to a fight scene, well, like I've got the whole Skyrim audio archive like downloaded, right? Like I pulled it off and converted it from BSA to regular MP3s and stuff. So you can put in like the spell effects, you can put in the weapon effects and that kind of stuff. And so give it just that little nudge maybe towards like audio drama. Like I'm not trying to do original stuff, but that'd be the next thing. But then again, there are going to be some books where it's just, you know, so-and-so begat so-and-so who begat so-and-so. There's no real need for music, right? So.
Sound effects sound like a great idea.
Yeah. But so the punchline is that is now called Skyrim Book Club Arcanium Edition. And that's available on iTunes and Google Play. It's actually been up there for about 8 or 10 days. I'd say maybe beginning of July. I just sort of started putting the feed out and testing it and making sure
Yeah.
all the artwork looked good and everything. So I don't know if podcatchers have found it yet.
I think I saw it on the podcast app, the Apple Podcast app.
Okay, yeah. So like I say, there's 11 episodes now, and then I'll sort of do it, I guess, for as long as it's interesting or people find it interesting. And yeah, we'll do a couple a week, maybe 3, depends. I might go on a tear some weekend and give you more, but yeah, 2 a week minimum for sure. That's my commitment.
That's your goal.
Well, I think that's a balance, because I'd said before that like there are kind of other things that I want to do. Like I have some crazy ideas. I've been writing stuff with my wife, and just in general, I got babies now and stuff too. So I feel like I've accomplished my goal, and I'd like to see what else is out there, in terms of like, what's the next step in audio? What's the next step in video? That kind of thing. But still keep up this audiobook thing that I enjoy doing. So yeah, for anyone listening, yes, there's no new Skyrim Book Club episodes. Check out Arcanium Edition. You can find all of that. Both of the feeds are sort of available at Skyrimbookclub.ca, and it's all sort of segregated for you under tabs and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the game plan there, and we're gonna go ruin books from another game now with silly voices and bad sound effects. It'll be fantastic. I'm looking forward to it.
Hey,
there you are.
You're gonna help, Victor. You're gonna help. You volunteered.
I did. Well, you just have to tell me what to read, and I'll read it for you.
Michelle said, so this means now when he goes to see Arcanium, he can just click on a book and you'll read it, right?
That would be pretty awesome.
Well, on paper, that's actually possible. You tell him he needs to download audiobooks of Skyrim.
That is correct.
And there's almost 600 of them. I kind of lost touch with that author. I'm not sure what sort of came of that, but I think he's just sort of been pulling stuff off of the iTunes feed. Like, I haven't been keeping up on the Reddit, but I suspect that he's probably pulled down whatever's available. So yeah, just south of 700 books in Skyrim, you go to the Arcanium and click on one of them. Me or someone who knows me is going to read it.
He's going to read it.
Of course, the worst part about that, one of the reasons that I was really pleased you did Book of the Dragonborn and to have that audio was, of course, everyone would download this mod, and the first book you get is the Book of the Dragonborn.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
The plan had always been that the last book in the series would be the Book of the Dragonborn, because I kind of, when it was complete, I wanted you to find Skyrim Book Club and see Book of the Dragonborn. And
have that right at the top,
So this poor bugger launches this mod to like some interesting fanfare and gets nothing but your shit's broken. It's broken. I open a book and nothing happens. Because of course he doesn't have audio for the first book in the game that everybody's testing his mod with.
Oh gosh. Right? Oh, that's right.
So I felt a little bad about that, but on the upside, Michael, you are going to introduce a whole new generation of people to Skyrim. It'll be your voice that they'll hear first.
Oh man. I'm is that available on Xbox One, I wonder?
It might be on SE only, I think.
It might be.
It might be SE only, or maybe SE and Legacy. I don't know. You'd have to just check his Reddit page, but
I'll do that. Yeah.
But I sort of fell a little bit out of touch with the guy. He sort of never emailed me, and like, I don't mean to be a jerk, but like, I don't chase people for stuff like this. This is my hobby. It's not a job.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, exactly.
If someone wants to contribute, great. Here's the thing. Here's the Google Drive. Here's a suggestion list. Do what you feel is right. If they get back to me, great. And I love the help. And if they don't, I mean, you really want to be nagged by some stranger to read a fake book from a video game? You know what I mean?
It's a good point. Yeah, in the end, it's a hobby. So, yeah.
But I'm excited. I'm excited about it. I think that it was nice to take a bit of a break. Like, I won't chew up too much of time with this, but like, you'll notice there was maybe 2-3 weeks or whatever between the last time SBC posted anything and sort of this conversation now. And like, it was nice to sort of have a little time just to like, take a deep breath and not have to worry about that for a while. And I had a bit of a sour taste in my mouth because it ended with like technical difficulties. That
creates that's a big problem too. Like you're coming to the end, you're excited that you're finishing, and then you get this whole feed issue where not everything's showing up. It's not not allowing you to add stuff. That's kind of puts a big damper on the end for you.
Yeah,
personally.
I'm in this horrible like tech support ping pong where like I host with GoDaddy, right? And I'm not gonna like harp on them, but like they blame WordPress blames them.
Yeah,
FeedBurner's garbage and hasn't been supported in forever. I brought in PowerPress, but like it caps out at 300 episodes and so on and so forth, right? So I'm just finally just get as many of the darn things up there as you can. It'll just live there. You know what I mean?
Just to interject slightly,
go on.
I can tell you that it's only available on SE.
Okay.
But and I honestly haven't used it. I've listened to 90% of your content from the podcast, but I have to say I find it a little annoying that there is zero thanks to you in the mod description. Zero.
Oh, that's weird, or not right.
I feel like if you like dig down somewhere into the notes or something,
It's there.
It
I
should
think
be
somewhere
right on the front. Thanks,
Yeah.
etc. to you personally, or to your the podcast name, whatever it is. There should be some thanks there. But I hope you enjoy this. If so, please endorse it. I've put a ton of hours into making this great for everyone, implying that he did all the recordings. Please let me know if any problems, issues, missing books, etc. Nothing.
Originally it was a text to speech reader that would do it.
Really?
Voice read you the Book of the Dragonborn. So, like, not to toot my own horn, but I think we upped the quality a little bit there, gentlemen.
Just a little.
Yeah, I would say that's a little better than like Siri.
Besides, those
it.
Nord TTS voices are terrible. They're terrible. They don't sound anything like a Swedish guy. Yeah. No, I appreciate you rising to my defense there, but I mean, to be fair, I sort of said to him when he contacted me, like, look, I don't feel any ownership over this stuff. Like I just always sort of made this for the community. That's been my answer to anyone that's ever wanted to use any of this, right?
That's
like
fine.
I just I did, but fair enough.
There's a certain amount of courtesy involved here as well, So anyway, I won't troll his post section, but I'm very tempted to. Anyway, so.
Yeah, no, it's I didn't notice it on Xbox One, so it's probably not there. Although the search feature and yada 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 yada. So,
yeah.
So speaking of Xbox One, tell us your tale of torment.
Oh
boy, grindhouse story of being tortured.
Well, the first thing I did was, first of all, you don't search anything on the Xbox itself. So I pulled up my laptop or I don't know, desktop, one or the other, and logged into Bethesda.net. And could not remember my password, so I had to change it. So
oops.
Every time.
Yeah,
every
pretty
time,
much.
Right?
Yeah, pretty much every time. Yeah. So I was able to do that, and then I went through and found the mods I wanted, favorited them, all that. The ones that were in my library that I wasn't going to use for the next character I'm doing, I took out of the library and all that. Then went over to Xbox One, and there is no simple login feature for Bethesda.net. So I clicked on the mods, on the thing comes up, it says mods on the menu for Skyrim, obviously, when it boots up. Click on that, go to my mods. Everything's fine. It's working fine. I haven't changed the password. Doing my updates for the ones that I'm keeping and updating, and adding the ones in, downloading the ones that I added to my favorites in the library on the laptop. And all of a sudden it pops up, enter your email, create an account. So I do that. I don't create the account, but obviously then it takes you to the login. So I log in, and then something happens, and I go to back out of it, and it takes me to the main menu, and has to redo all my mods because it says, "Oh, you changed whenever you change anything on Xbox, it automatically has to reload again." So this happened like 4 times.
Oh my god! And there's no native ability to like just choose mods straight on the Xbox. Like I don't ever.
There is, but
consoles.
There is, but the search capability is just it's not that great, So it's much simpler to just go to Bethesda.net on a computer because you have a bigger screen. It's a simpler search. You can break it down. You're trying to search on the Xbox One. You're typing with the controller and stuff like that. So it's a big pain. But it took me literally an hour of just back and forth, finally getting it. And it finally logged in properly and stayed logged in. I finally got everything downloaded. Somehow I lost the unofficial patch in the process and had to had to re-download that. And I'm like, well, wait, where'd that go? I'm like, I didn't delete that. Because I'm checking my load order to make sure everything's right and in order. And I'm like, wait, where's the unofficial patch? It's supposed to be at the top. Where'd it go? It wasn't there. So Then I had to go back and download that, and then go back out again, and blah blah blah.
The whole thing is a giant kludge.
Yeah, it's just it's cumbersome. Like you definitely, I guess people do more than one character with different mods, but for me, like if I'm playing on Xbox, I set the mods for that character and play as that character with those mods, and then if I want to change, I start over fresh. Yeah, I have the basic ones I use, but then I'll start over fresh and
Are there profile options like built
no,
in?
No,
technically like attach mods to character. No,
yeah, that's the problem. So like if you have multiple characters, like the last one I was playing was a Hunterborn character. I was using Hunterborn and survival and all that stuff. So I got rid of all that stuff because I decided finally what I'm going to do for the Let's Play is I'm going to do it on Xbox One because it's just easier for me to record the audio from. So I started a new mage character, Breton Mage, like I'd had in my other character that I was going to use. So I loaded what I wanted for that. And
what does that one sound like?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Oh, I'm just teasing.
That's a good question. See, I've been
sorry, I didn't knock you off your story. Anyway,
I've been working on my voice skills in my new summer fart podcast project.
I gotta listen to that first episode. I thought that's quite good.
We're having fun with it. We're doing a spoof of true crime, so that's
you straight up got me too. Like I'm listening to the intro and I can sort of tell because I know you just well enough. Like I can hear kind of like the mirth in the background.
Yeah,
hear, like, the vague humor like in the undercurrent of your voice, but like it legit sounds like the opening of a true crime podcast.
Oh, I've listened to a lot,
and then you get to the punchline, right? Like what are we talking about?
Andrew,
yeah, that's your genre for sure, I guess.
Oh yeah. I've listened to so many terrible ones; it's even better. So I can have a real feel for the real mediocre ones. But
you want to make a bad one?
Yeah,
you want to like achieve that circle of badness, right? Like you want,
I feel like they're the most interesting. Either be really bad or amazing. Don't be in the middle.
People forgive so much for comedy too, right?
It's true. Yeah. But Andrew's going to be popping up soon too, as well. But
oh, nice.
But anyway, back to the mods. Anyway, Skyrim mods. So I did all my searching on my laptop, and it was just way easier. The Xbox searchability is just it's clunky at best. You don't get to see that many. Like I think it's only like let's see, was it 14 things will show up on the screen at one time, so you can't really scroll down and search that easily.
No, there's no such thing as load order. I mean, you can drag things around, but there's no.
You can adjust them a little bit, but it's not much. So I keep it pretty simple generally, and only load what I want for a specific character. So yeah.
So what does a person without any prior modding knowledge do if they're a console-only player? Because, like, Victor's mentioning, there's no mod order. I'm thinking of, like, being able to find out conflicts and stuff ahead of time. Like, what are you doing if you're the Xbox modder? I mean, because even Steam had more control than that, from the sounds of it.
Yeah, you can adjust the load order. You just have to click on things and move them up and down. And there are generally notes that'll tell you, load this here or whatever.
Okay.
Probably 25% of the people who actually use the mods.
Yeah, nobody. Yeah, how many people are looking at it? That's probably an issue.
So no. The answer to your question, Stephen, is nothing.
They do nothing. They just hope it goes.
Yeah, hope it works. Yeah,
and that was the problem with Steam too. I mean, it was just meant to be an easy interface, which actually makes modding more difficult, not easier.
Yeah, because then you don't know where the problems are.
Yeah, unless you're 10 or 12 mods, or you want Thomas the Tank Engine.
If you're doing real like I'll only run maybe 10 or 15 mods for like a character like this that I know I'm going to use for a very specific purpose and not for a long time, because then I don't have to worry about a lot of things going on or going wrong or whatever. But so it's not something I'm building out or anything like that for a long period of time. So
I think that's the way to do it on console.
Yeah. I don't.
That's sort of been my approach too. Oh, sorry, Michael. Go
Oh
ahead.
no, I was just saying. Yeah, I agree. Like you don't want to get too deep because the console wise, it's just so much of a pain to reorganize that. you don't want to get too deep with like 30 or
Yeah.
40 mods or anything.
Yeah. I just got.
I feel like in my
incredibly
case,
frustrated with
sorry, go. I keep jumping over people. Sorry.
it. No, that's fine. That's fine. Go ahead.
I was saying, like in my case, I feel like I sort of, I'm kind of where Michael is in that sense that probably more than a dozen, but I feel like I'm building a base.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't really like. Sure, I've played with the Iron Man mod or the gun mod or what, you do something for 5 minutes, but once I went to Mod Organizer, in particular, I found that what I'm really doing is I'm just broadening out the game, almost like adding DLC or modules, like you were talking about survival stuff earlier, Michael.
Yeah.
So like I've got Hunterborn, and like Keiko's in there to change the way certain things go. God, it's another mod escaping me, like Hearthcraft. So like I'm sort of periodically going out and reading about like, well, how can I make Skyrim more like the game that I want? So this becomes like the foundation for pretty much every character that I'm making.
Mhm.
I may not take advantage of the Hunterborn abilities. In some cases, I may not turn on eye needs for a particular character, but I feel like I've just added bricks to my foundation so that the game is a little more the way that I want it to be.
For what,
Yeah,
for however you want to play it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of Mod Organizer over something like Nexus Mod Manager, which has profiles but just doesn't implement them as well. So, and having never used Vortex, I can't speak to Vortex, but MO is just, profiles are simple. It's just everything. It just makes it easy. So you can have 3 or 4 base profiles and build on those. I have probably 5 or 6 different base profiles just to start with. One of them includes Legacy of the Dragonborn, and one of them doesn't, and one of them has some of the other big quest mods in it, and the other one doesn't. So that makes life a lot easier. You can't do that on a console.
And I've sort of been baby stepping into it. Like I'm a total convert. You're 100% right. Like all the evangelizing you did about Mod Organizer, I saw it immediately when I switched over.
Yeah.
I've sort of been like, I'm just, okay, let's just get this thing to work. And I love it resolves conflicts. Like I say, just that loot button is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like I don't think my game has ever crashed since I've started using Mod Organizer. Not one.
No, especially if you're using only 15 to 20 mods, and I try to be careful not to make it political. I mean, it's just Nexus Mod Manager is perfectly fine for a lot of different things, but Mod Organizer, if you really want to be advanced and you really want to use a lot of mods, it's the only tool to use, and so. But hey, it's whatever. I'm involved a lot on the Discord for Character Crusade because I'm a Patreon supporter there, and we've had some recent discussions about Mod Organizer, and its latest. I forget if you're running SC or Legacy, Steve. It's
Legacy.
Legacy, yeah. It works. The 64-bit version works well for SC. It's a slightly different, but it's still better than anything you can do in Nexus Mod Manager. So now I've lost my train of thought.
It's okay. I want to hear spoilers from Michael now. I want to hear about his mod list because this will be hints to like what his Brett and Mage is going to be like. Right?
Oh, it's
what have we got thrown in there?
Very, very simple. Have all the divine, texture packs, lanterns, interiors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's just for me because nobody can see those anyway. Let's see. I have I think it's all the Scion ones. Andromeda, Standing Stones, Summer Mist enchantments, Apocalypse Ordinator, Thunderchild, and Alt Start. So I kept it like simple enough where I want to expand out the magic a bit, but I didn't want to go with things that I know won't work because I want to make sure it works if I'm recording it. Essentially. So these are all things I've used in the past. So I basically stuck pretty close to that kind of stuff. I was going to add a few more things. I'm still debating when I can get back online and look some more and do some more searching, because it literally, after an hour, I was kind of just annoyed and stop for a bit.
You're full. You've had enough.
Yeah, I've stopped using any of Cheyon's combat mods, but of course still using Ordinator and Apocalypse and all of that.
Some of the spells in Apocalypse are fantastic.
Yeah, they're great, and they're if you're on PC anyway. I think Fendrix is available on Xbox, but Lost Grimoire is not. So you can supplement Apocalypse with some even more spells if you use Fendrix on Xbox. Lost Grimoire or Skyrim is a great addition if you're on PC. Again, I'm not sure if it's available for SE or not, but it's certainly an old legacy Skyrim mod. But my base profile for most games has about 190 ESPs alone, and probably 250 to 280 mods, including texture packs and things like that. So that's my base profile. So, but that's relatively, that really isn't. Yeah, I was muted, wasn't I? That was a while ago.
Oh yeah, that was a long time ago.
Sorry, I just noticed that. But that's relatively easy when if you're using the right tools, not just loot, but also patchers and things like that. But we won't get into all that technical shit. But that was part of the discussion in the Character Crusade Discord was what's whether to use Mator Smash or Rybash or any of those things, and whether to get rid of a lot of the old patchers like I don't know if anybody knows what ASIS was or FNIS, all those. It just adds a lot of overhead to the game. None of this is possible on Xbox anyway. So,
well, I just pulled up Fendrix Magic Evolved.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, it's been upgraded at least on Xbox One to Magic World, which has new locations in, I guess, the college. Although they're calling it the Skyrim School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. I don't know. Maybe that's another location. So
sounds vaguely Harry Potter.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even vaguely gentlemen.
Yeah, no, not vaguely at all. Yeah,
direct ripoff. Yeah,
Fantastic Nords and where to find them.
Yeah. Michelle said he still does not have the courage to switch from Mod Organizer. So back to next
on, Michelle, you can do it. If Gail can do it in at Character Crusade, Gail and a couple of the other ones, you can do it.
I did it in an hour, partly holding a baby. You can do it, Michelle. It only takes one hand to click download.
Not sure why I can't see the live feed right now, so I can't respond to Michelle.
I mean, either. I can never find it. I'm a dunce. This is how easy Mod Organizer is. I can't even find the live feed of the own podcast that I'm on, but I can still mod my game. There you go. I just want to see the chat.
There are some good recent mods. Just to throw these out there that have popped up in Legacy and also I think in SE. There's a newish one called Immersive World Encounters, which I think everybody should check out. It's being actively supported. It's just got a lot of new, just random stuff in it. That's a lot of fun when you come across it. I won't go into any more detail than that. I've thrown it into my latest build. Doesn't seem to have a lot of issues. Know Your Enemy has been around for a while. Let's see, what else have I recently found? I'm looking at usually if I list my mods in MO with under priority, it's the last ones in the list of the most recent ones. Go to Bed. That's kind of fun. That just allows you. It gives your character an animation to go to bed instead of just sort of not doing anything. So if you're actually doing a live stream or a video, you can actually see your character sort of curl up and get into bed. That it gets annoying after a while, but it's nice at first. There's some relatively nice new other world or other land mods, quest mods, Shadow of the Ender King. A couple of really cool things have come out recently. I think we talked about Project AHO last time. That's being actively supported. What else is new here? Shezareen, The Fate of Tamriel. That's a new quest mod. The immersive encounters was taking what do you call it? Auditions for new voices, but I think the auditions are closed now. So watch out for that one because that's being very actively supported and worked on.
This is building on the concept of like immersive patrols.
I guess a little bit like that, but let me pull it up on.
Is it
on Nexus here, and I'll oh, don't do that to me.
Because it'd be interesting if it added like not just encounters and stuff in terms of like enemies, but also say like pieces of geography, like old standing stones that wouldn't have been there in the original game, or
no, it's more. It's just okay. The explanation is immersive world encounters expands on the vanilla random events by adding roughly 50 new random world encounter and world interaction events. These new events will start to happen randomly the moment you install it in your game. So, in other words, it doesn't require a new game. Which is nice. It comes with a handy MCM, which allows you to configure various aspects of the mod, including toggling on or off certain random events from vanilla and from the mod. And then it goes on to there's a lot of stuff, and a lot of these are custom voiced. I actually auditioned for one. I don't think I got any spot on it, but it's by Set Lisette. Who is a very experienced modder, has done a lot of other stuff. Notably, one of my favorite interior mods, which is called Palaces and Castles Enhanced, and another one of my favorite interior mods, Skyrim Radioactive. She or he, I assume it's a she, the way that it's spelled, did a sort of a rework of Skyrim Radioactive. For like was a lot more stable than the original, so a lot of really good interior stuff. Set Lisette is a very experienced modder, so this is a stable, good mod. So everybody should check it out.
Let me ask you something, Victor. At what point do you tip over and Skyrim isn't really Skyrim anymore? Like you're running 400 mods, you've altered the game in so many ways. Like
never, it's always Skyrim.
You don't think so? You don't think that
it's always Skyrim. The only things that have changed it, and actually that's a really good segue because I wanted to get into a post that I was reading just before we started. But the only things that change it substantially from the original sort of concept are things like survival and I use now a mod called Skyrim. I think it's called Skyrim Souls, which is kind of an unfortunate title. But the reason the mod author named it that is that what it does is it shuts off the pause. So when you, not Smart Scroll. I'm looking for Skyrim Souls unpaused game menus. It's basically an SKSE plugin, so it's a very lightweight, simple thing to install and uninstall. You don't have to worry about uninstalling it if you don't like it. But what it does is when you go to take a potion,
you do it in real time. Yeah,
you're doing it almost in real time. Yeah, things keep happening at a slightly slower rate, but not they're not paused. And I've gotten in trouble with that because I'm so used to hitting escape and then running off to do something in the kitchen or whatever I have to do, and then I come back and my character is dead, and I go, wait, what happened? Oh, right, I have that mod loaded. But it's that's the kind of thing that changes it from the original. But I don't think there's any point really, unless you're using Tropical Skyrim or a mod like that completely changes the entire look of the game. It still doesn't change the underlying gameplay.
See, I find that argument interesting because, and you specifically singled out survival stuff. Like, I feel like Campfire and Hunterborn and Frostfall, like they make Skyrim more realistic as Skyrim. Yeah. But then, Michael's thrown out, and you've thrown out before, stuff like Apocalypse and Ordinator. So I look at something like Ordinator. I mean, you are fundamentally changing the way you can enhance your character. Apocalypse, I mean, no matter how well balanced, I mean, you're adding spells that the game sort of never anticipated you having the ability to do. Like, I mean, I've seen this one spell used in a video. I don't know what it's called, but like you leap off something really high and then you sort of like you shoot some magic that softens your blow. Well, I mean, like now you're literally like you are doing something that you should not be capable of doing in the game.
But
like,
that's not true.
That drop was built to be a barrier to maybe channel you in a different way. I mean, you can argue whether or not it's good or bad.
You could do that before with Become Ethereal. That's the vanilla shell.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's simply making a spell out of Become Ethereal. That's all it's doing. It's not changing anything that wasn't in the game originally. And I think that's a perfectly acceptable. I think there are things that like guns and dwarven power armor and stuff like that. But I would. The reason I said it was a good segue is because Cheyenne made a post on his Patreon page. This is about a month ago now, in which he sort of, it's called Every Gameplay Mod Should Be Survival Mode. So I don't want to read the whole post. I would, well, this is tough because it's on Patreon, so you have to be a supporter in order to read it.
It's the Cole's Notes.
But he's building several new mods right now. One of them is called Hellcat, which is another combat mod, sort of an adjunct to Wildcat and Smilodon. He's also building a new religion mod, which is very exciting because I don't know if you've ever used a mod called Religion in Skyrim, it's a lot of fun. I have it in most of my my builds, but this is Enai we're talking about, so it's going to be well thought out and stable and interesting. And he gives you the ability to pray to gods, divines, etc., and gain buffs, debuffs, etc. But let me see if I can sort of get the gist of this. Some games revolve around their mechanics, such as every roguelite. They may portray you as a commando, but you get guns that bounce off walls or shoot exploding chickens because those offer more interesting gameplay. TES games, however, are not the right place for this approach. TES games offer a giant immersive world supported by gameplay, much like Photoshop is supported by Windows. The operating system needs to stay in the background and let you do things you turned your computer on for. Okay, so he's not a native English speaker, Pat Bagner. My lack of understanding of this led to gratuitous gameplay. It's Grindstone and Apocalypse, Threshold, Whale and Summer Mist, and Shield Dome and Resplendent. Stuff that is there purely because it creates gameplay. I started modding in Diablo 2 and found success by, in parentheses, apparently being the only one to invest in compatibility with the latest patch, close parenthesis, following a Michael Bay approach, homing scatter arrows, triggering spike novas, triggering a 250 meteor spell, and everything blows up and you get a 2,000 damage weapon. This worked great in Diablo, which is basically a roguelite and MMO, but translated poorly to Skyrim. And so what he's saying is that he thinks to some extent the extensive survival stuff. Now, we're not talking about Campfire. Campfire makes a lot of sense. Hunterborn makes a lot of sense, but he specifically calls out Frostfall, and I have done this myself on many occasions. Okay, so at this point, I believe any attempt at turning Skyrim, and this is why I thought about Dark Souls, at turning Skyrim into Dark Souls is both doomed and jarring. TES isn't about combat, so elaborate combat mechanics feel as out of place as Frostfall sometimes does. Frostfall is a good example of a mod that's so good that it doesn't fit into the game. I think that's a really, really great point.
So does that make my point though, that it's tipped over and it's not really Skyrim anymore?
Maybe it
It's spirit
does.
of what
I
it
don't
should
know.
be.
Is
that his argument? Maybe.
No, I don't know. I don't think that's his argument. I think his argument is that it doesn't belong there at all. He's specifically talking about Hellcat there, and like I said, Hellcat's his latest combat project. I don't use his combat mods because I think, and he's been criticized for some of the, he makes a point and then contradicts himself in saying that he wants a mod that has, battle fatigue, lingering wounds, broken bones, mental trauma, et cetera. But that sort of contradicts his point about, taking over the game. And somebody in the comments,
that's almost a game itself, right?
He
wants to use the engine to make a physically different experience. Like you can twist D&D like that if you want, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and that's why I stopped using, because I don't like. He actually has an injury system in Wildcat. I think he got rid of it in Smiling On. The injury system and the stagger system that he used. The stagger part of it's built into the original game anyway. He's just sort of enhancing it. I thought was completely out of place, because when you're staggered, the way the Skyrim engine works, if you're staggered, you're locked. Basically, you can't do anything, which is not realistic at all. You could be staggered in a fight and still, wildly swing back with a sword, even if you're off balance and so on. But you can't do that in the Skyrim engine. But one of the commenters here said something about shutting off all of that, the injury mechanics. So I got rid of. Personally, in all my builds, I use Ultimate Combat, which I think is a much, much better combat mod. And then I sort of enhance it with a couple of other small things. Ultimate Combat was rewritten just recently, within the last 6 months, and is really, frankly, superb. So anyway, we'll see what he comes. But I thought those were some interesting points for discussion. If anybody has any other thoughts on them, or on the survival mode thing. It's so popular now. Everybody wants a survival mode in their game. Is it really all that?
Well, that brings two thoughts to mind, actually, for me, if you don't mind. Number one, just something that jumped out of my mind just briefly when you were talking near the end. I don't know how many modders do this, but wouldn't it be interesting if the way that you sought feedback instead of comments is like, what are you turning off? Or what are you turning down? Like Frostfall, he talks about Frostfall, right? Well, you can, as I understand, I've never used it, but you can sort of set degrees of severity, right?
Yes.
So I wonder, like, really, if you want to do Frostfall 2.0, like maybe it's not so much from like you out, is talk to people and say like, okay, well, where are you setting the sensitivity on this thing? Like to find out what's going on. And that leads to your survival mode comment, where like these things are fascinating in theory. Like I'll wander off very briefly. I played a lot of 4th edition. There was a fella named Scott Murray. He went by Sursa V, and he did 4th Core. Okay, and this was very much what you're talking about. Like it was a very like harder, deadly, very dangerous, very like high risk, high reward, and it had a lot of this like stagger, poison, yada yada. Brought back a lot of that really old school D&D. We were saving for everything and stuff. And the people who love that love it. I love 4th Core. I think it's fantastic. I want to just like throw my character against a wall full of spikes and see if I can survive. Like there's a competitive part of me that really gets off on that. And then sometimes I want to hang out with my friends and role play. But like that was a particular like version of the game in a box, right? But not everybody wants that. So if that was what D&D was launched as, what you'd see is people would be turning stuff off, because there's a tipping point with survival where it becomes tedious. Like, look, I work 8 hours a day. I come home, I do chores, I take care of my kids. Like, to what level do I want to have to feed and wash my character?
Well, no, it's the perfect reason.
So I think they tip over to
why 5th edition exists, is it not? I mean,
is why what? Sorry,
it's why 5th edition exists, because people do have lives, and they don't want to be.
Skyrim is your comment about everyone wants a survival mode in Skyrim, and some of these survival mods go too far. So like, I think I'm agreeing with you that eventually they get to a point where like you're micromanaging your character to the point that that's what you're doing. You're not fighting dragons anymore. Well, I think I'm curious enough, what are people dialing down? Like it'd be neat to get some really aggregated data about that.
Well, Chesco, I think, has a fair amount of data on that. But I think in the case of a mod like Frostfall in particular, just simply the fact that he built the possibility of doing that into the mod makes means that he's thinking about that. In other words, when I set up Frostfall, the first thing I do is turn it down from 1.0 to 0.1. Because for one thing, I've spent a lot of my life outdoors, hiking, backpacking
in the cold.
And I know exactly how long I can survive warm. And his 1.0 default is just too gamified. That's the point I think perhaps that Cyan is trying to make is don't gamify it, make it an integral part of the game that is almost invisible. It's just it's there.
But all running passively is what you're getting at?
I don't think passively is the right word, but it's there and it works. In other words, you don't have to dick around with it and Frostfall, you've got to really screw around with all the settings to make it actually playable. I watch people play with Frostfall set at 1.0 or higher, and it's ridiculous. They're spending all their time, eating vegetable soup and carrying a fucking, pardon my French, a torch just to stay warm. That's ridiculous. That's just gamified. That's no longer, that's not fun. That's just a sort of, making him, it's just a mechanic.
Yeah,
when you kill Alduin with one hand and soup in your beard, you have achieved something that no one else can brag about. Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
yes, and a fully upgraded and poisoned Mehrunes, Mehrunes Dagon's dagger or whatever. You can kill Alduin with the dagger. Yeah, yeah, that's fine too. I think he does have a really good point about survival mode. I think it's gotten a little too hipster.
Yeah. Well, what do you think, Michael? I mean, sorry not to cut you off, but
I've been
with Victor for 15 minutes. How do you sort of take to the survival type mods and what kind of stuff do you load, that sort of thing?
I had the same issue with Frostfall where I thought it was too intense in its natural state or whatever you want to call it. Because you're playing, or general, I want to play survival for more realism, and I felt like it, while not having survival is unrealistic, then taking it to the nth degree of survival is unrealistic also. So when you're constantly freezing and constantly eating to not freeze, or whatever, a torch or whatever, you're not really doing things that are realistically warming you up anyway. So it kind of, just as having no damage from being cold is unrealistic, having so much damage that you can't even function is also unrealistic.
Yeah, I think he built enough into it. I think there is a sweet spot with Frostfall.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I like the fact that you can drink snowberry extract and swim in cold water. That's cool. And
it fits with the potions and magic of the world. So
Yeah, and wearing fur or having a fur tent versus a leather tent for wet or cold and stuff like that. The problem, of course, is that the game engine doesn't make it easy to integrate. So he's kind of hampered by that, and that's part of the reason I think why his grand vision project, which I think he calls Last Seed, which is going to have all these integrated, including an I Need type, food and water needs mod, just simply still hasn't shown up. It sort of showed up in a beta form, but it didn't go very far.
ES6 Last Seed.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And who knows? There's stuff happening behind the scenes that we don't know about. Certain modders have basically disappeared from the scene, and I think some of them are actually working, like Eleonora, for instance, are actually maybe even working. I don't know if she's working for Bethesda, but she's certainly doing content, possibly working behind the scenes for ES6, which would be really cool.
That's the smartest thing they could do.
Absolutely. Just hire some of these really skilled people. Absolutely.
Or just look around. I mean, even just from a business standpoint, you find a mod that's got 3 million downloads. People want what this person is making. Put that in your next game, right?
Yeah.
I got a broader question, if nobody minds. What would you say that you're modding for? Like if you could put it into a couple of sentences or paragraph, or like what's the ultimate goal? Like I sort of know what I mod for, but I'm kind of curious what you two would say to that. Like with your 800 mods, Victor, or like Michael with your dozen or 20 or whatever, and I'm somewhere in between, closer to 20. Like what are you modding for at the end of the day?
That's a good question. For me, it generally just depends on the character I'm going to play, what I'm using. Sometimes I like to brush up the graphics a little bit. I don't go too crazy with it, but for me, it's about, I generally have a character in mind, and I use mods that'll go with that. That's kind of where I've been recently with it.
Yeah, I'm afraid in my case it's more that well, let's go back a little bit. The first time I ever played Skyrim in, I don't know, January 2012 or something like that, the first thing that I ever thought about the game in a negative way was, why the hell can't I camp out? Yeah. And so that was and that's because I played it first on a 360, and so my oldest said, well, get it for your PC and start looking at the mods, because there's already a big modding community, traveling over from Oblivion, etc. And so within a couple months, I mod, to make the game I want it to be, but also I think for me, because I'm a builder and sort of a creative in IRL, for me it's just the process of building the lists and tinkering with the game. I get more enjoyment out of that, frankly, than even playing the game, which is why
it's a Rubik's Cube for you. Like you like the mental challenge of getting it all to go, and then you play it for 7 minutes. You're like, I'm bored of this character.
Which is why I call my little thing Skyrim Fits and Starts, because that's exactly the way I play the game. So, and we talked a little bit about getting into some, role play talk. I don't know how long we want this to run, but so yeah, I haven't played Skyrim a whole lot in the last 2 or 3 weeks, but I've spent a lot of time sitting here at the computer in Mod Organizer and farting around and building new characters and building mod lists and running Mator Smash and loot and then jumping into the game, see if it crashes. Just that. It's like what I do at work. I build big things out of large and small pieces.
I bet you had a really bitchin' car when you were like 21. You were like that guy that just tinkered with everything, but not the flashy garbage stuff. Like it was all under the hood,
No cars for me. That's
motorcycles. You look like a motorcycle guy. All those tattoos.
Yeah, yeah. For me, it's wood, leather, and glue, and mods are very much wood, leather, and glue.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that's why I do it, because I just get a huge amount of enjoyment just out of playing with the mods. And it is cool, when you find several really nice combination of texture mods and an ENB, and you pop into the game and it's like eye-popping gorgeous. That's very satisfying.
Yeah, your next little side project is to teach me to not think that ENBs are scary. We're going to do that at some point.
Yeah, ENBs are actually one of the easiest. Seriously, they really are.
Oh, I believe you. I believe you.
Yeah.
I believe you. We'll get there.
You can't break your game with an ENB. You can break your computer, but you can't break your game.
See, given the choices, I'd rather break my re-downloadable version of Skyrim.
Yeah, that's a good point. Computer. Yeah. Michelle,
I'm gonna be playing on an Xbox, like searching for mods, like I was texting in.
Oh God, that's
on my flip phone, right?
That's exactly what it's like. Michelle is saying he mods for pleasing environments, realism with like immersive citizens, and who don't stay up 24 hours a day. New content like quest mods. Let's see, Rigmore of Bruma, Helgen Reborn, and then immersion like Campfire Hunter Born. So That's kind of where
all
he
the above.
falls.
I agree with him 100%.
There you go.
And they all add something to it to bring. I think that all of those kind of add some realism to it, really. In the end,
and they add, if you've played the game a lot already, they just make the game infinitely replayable. So you can go back and play a game you love more and more by just adding little tiny changes that make it fresh and interesting again.
Yep.
Can't do that with Witcher 3, as much as I love the game, or Horizon Zero Dawn, or several other great games, like Far Cry games, things like that I love, but I play them once and I'm done.
Well, I think the biggest difference is when you mod Skyrim, the base game itself, you can play so many different ways that you're not playing the same game anyway.
Right.
Yeah, because there's so much flexibility in the game itself. There's no, you can hop in, and even if you're not modding, even if you do no mods whatsoever, you can play a whole character and never see dragons by just not doing the quest.
Yeah, and if you look at
half of my Skyrim time,
yeah. If you look
dragons, for sure.
At a creator like Couch Warrior, who has, that's sort of the quintessential. And I'm both surprised and not surprised that they have only under 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, because what they do is sort of it is the purest form of what Skyrim is all about, with mods, and with or without mods. In that they create stories. It's the same old stuff. They don't even need mods, frankly, but he creates all kinds of amazing different stories out of this game, and that's the when you add mods to that. If anybody who's listening to this hasn't sampled the content that Couch Warrior creates, they should, because it's pretty amazing. And the framework that they build for stories it's just so much fun to sort of dive into something like that. It makes the game completely new, completely different. Yeah. Even if you only play it for a couple of hours, you don't have to complete all their storylines or anything, or even watch any of his content. It's just a fun way of approaching starting a new game. It's why I sort of created it was fun when we did the Skyrim Roundtable, when we created the random generator. Yes. So I created my own sort of version of that for Fits and Starts, which includes, polyhedral dice and the Rory story cubes and tarot cards, and it's a lot of fun. I've had a heck of a lot of fun creating characters, especially the tarot cards, and it's amazing the synchronicity that you get sometimes when you roll a race, and then you roll something that's sort of almost poetically perfect for that race. And the tarot card that pops up is like, how could I possibly have rolled, an Imperial battle mage and then pulled the Knight of Swords? What the? Yeah. Okay.
But now, how frequently does that happen? Because this sort of leads into some character talk. It was one of the things I was going to ask.
Yeah. Well, that's what I say. That stuff works, man. It really does.
Well, okay, it does, right? But I wonder, like, how many times, like, not recorded, have you gotten tied into knots? Like, because I guess there's this idea, like Michael says, he's modding for story, right? So that to me indicates that, okay, I had this pre-existing idea, and I just kind of need this little file or that little effect in the game to like nudge me to where the character is going to look the way that I look. Whereas with Fits and Starts, like, you're really going in with the sort of the opposite. And like, I've seen you do a couple of these live, so I'm wondering, like, how often do you run into this situation where, because I love random. I'm with you. I think random is interesting. Mm-hmm. But does that tie you in knots at any point where, like, how do I reconcile these things? Or I've rolled them, and again, not to get back into like the technical one, but maybe I can't do this in Skyrim. How am I going to make this go? Or to go to what Michael's saying, like, well, what mod do I need to pull? Like, I guess I'm wondering, like, you seem to be enjoying it, and that's good, but what?
Well, that's why. So, okay, to your point, then, I have built a sort of a Skyrim fits and starts mod loadout that includes as many mods that work together that will give me options. All right, so beyond all the visual stuff, I always have the survival mods, whether or not I use them. They're always there, loaded, ready to go. So that base mod list includes things like Hunterborn, Campfire, Frostfall, a couple of mods, one called Trade Routes, one called Trade and Barter. I now either use Ars Metallica or Keiko, depending on, or both, because they work together, surprisingly enough. And I've gotten kind of used to Keiko now, but
it's a learning curve, though.
It's a huge learning curve. So what I'll do, and what I've started doing with okay, so let's grind down into fits and starts just a little bit. So what I've started doing,
curious what's going on in the head and the story side. I mean,
well, what I've been doing with fits and starts more lately with some of the stuff that I haven't actually either done live or even recorded is, I will roll these characters, and then I'll say, okay, I'm rolling 4 skills essentially. Those are so, and I'll look at the skills I've rolled. I'll look at the kind of character I've rolled. So recently I did an Argonian, and I'll roll 3 for a race. So I'll roll 3 and average them, which I think is fun. So then you get a race with a little bit of. So the latest one was an Argonian with a little bit of Bosmer to him. So and that's the first thing I roll. So then, believe it or not, the next thing I roll is the 2 stones, which gives me the sort of the first stone being their skill alignment. So it's going to be mage, thief, or warrior. In this case, it was a mage. And the second roll for the secondary stones, because there's 10 secondary stones, was the apprentice stone. And then I rolled alteration, illusion, archery, and 2-handed. So what I do and then I rolled a lawful good, because I've started rolling alignment as well.
I like that.
And I rolled a lawful good, and then I drew Queen of Rods reversed in tarot, which is like a really, really selfish kind of bizarre card when it's reversed. So that makes a really great sort of tension between lawful good and so those are all cool things. So I'll sit down and I'll think, all right, if I'm going to play this and I'm only going to play 10 levels or so, there's no reason why I need to start. First of all, I'm going to use alt start, and I'm probably going to use the random or the attacked and left for dead. That's the usual thing. But why not instead pick one of those alternative starts that fits this character, and then with the console enhance some of the skills? Because if I'm gonna play only 10, maybe 12 levels, I'm going to go into the console and I'm going to, if I have those 4 skills, alteration, archery, 2-handed, and illusion, I'm going to say, all right, which of those make the most sense for this Argonian mage who has a lawful good alignment and has slight Bosmer leanings? All right, so I'm going to boost my archery to maybe 30,
Sure.
using the console. I'm going to boost my illusion to 35 or 40. And then, I might boost a couple other things and add some things to, just to start myself out a little bit, instead of having to grind through shit. I hate grinding in any game. It's one of the things I hate the most. So that's where I'm going with that. I've sort of, come to the conclusion that it's okay to use the console to enhance a beginning character. I could even I could even add some levels. Might start them at level 5 instead of level 1.
Yeah, at 3,000 hours, you're entitled. Like, you put your time in, you've gained seniority, sir. Like, you're,
that, and it just makes sense for this kind of role play. You know, if I start at level 5, okay, I've got a few perks I can play with. I can then do 10 levels and end up at 15 instead of having to start at level 1 and run through Embouchard Mine and all the other crap again. I can actually go do something more meaningful and interesting.
Now, do you feel that your fits and starts process has been mostly fruitful, or have you hit a lot of cul-de-sacs doing this?
No, I've had a lot of fun with it. I just haven't recorded and published a whole lot of it.
Oh, no, I'm not trying to like poke you in that regard, but I'm just curious.
No,
I think the randomization is really interesting, but I wonder if you get into these strange combinations where you're scratching your head and you're like, how do I make this person go? You know,
well, I do that
sort of thing,
for
right?
sure, because unlike somebody like Stu at Character Crusade, I'm pretty good at the creating the random stuff and rolling for interesting combinations. But then when it comes to actually sitting down and improvising a character, that's hard to do.
Yeah, you name him Teddy Startface, and
yeah.
You run around. I'm teasing you, but
no, totally. And that is hard to do. You need a different kind of that's a different kind of talent.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure I really have that.
So my other thought, with RP character building, the other question I wanted to ask about that came to mind was, and this is sort of for everyone, of course, what do you think are the essential pieces for a Skyrim character? Like, whether it is you just look back over the people that you've played for any extent of time, like whether it's just what you personally always seem to go to, or looking at the game more as a game, like, what should you sort of never be ignoring? Like, I'm not trying to say like, how do you make a great character, but like, how do you consistently make a successful character? Like, what could you not remove? Like, say, what particular skill could you not ignore in this game? So on and so forth. Like, what are some of the keys to making a solid Skyrim character?
I don't know, Michael. What do you think? Like Andrew, you think you have to be a sneaky archer, right?
Exactly. It's the only way to play.
Yeah. No, sorry. Go ahead. No, what do you think?
That's I think you could literally ignore anything depending on how you're playing. Like, you could, if you're not going to be sneaky, you're not going to be like, if you're not going to be a magic user, you can pretty much ignore magicka altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And all spells altogether. You really don't need much. You can use potions. You can, choose rest to heal, whatever you need it. Or if you're, doing a, two-handed tank, you don't need any of the sneak or anything like that. There is no linchpin to all the styles. There's nothing that I don't think has to overlap all those styles that I can think of.
Can you, for example, run a pure mage without any melee skill?
Yeah,
because if I came around on a magicka and I need, like, I'm asking, not telling, but like, do I need to be decent with a dagger for when that moment comes? Like, can I actually eliminate melee skill, for example?
I think you can. I mean, it's obviously difficult in the beginning as a mage, because that's probably the most difficult one starting out, as far as combat goes. But you can still run. You can still, I guess you could sneak if you're early on. And then just kind of lose that as you get old, as your character grows and grows its magic skill. You don't even need that really at some point.
I think a lot of it depends on what kind of gamer you are.
Yeah,
because if you're the kind of gamer that enjoys setting yourself a challenge, like a lot of guys in the group, Lee and others. Ray like to say, all right, I'm going to, and you, Michael, as well, with your iron guy and stuff like that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to challenge myself to play this way, or a mage, no melee mage. That's a challenge.
Yep.
Personally, I'm more of a generalist. I like to be able to use anything I want. And that's why I love Skyrim as much as I do, because, and also subsequently to get back into D&D just briefly. That's why I love 5th edition so much over some of the, especially 4th, which I never played much, but read through the books and thought oh my God, it's like, no.
You can't teach that game to yourself.
No.
Like, literally,
no,
I had to
right.
on-ramp so many people during the 4th edition era. Like, not to crap on it, but it's
yes.
You needed an old hand to bring you in.
Absolutely. And so and I never had that. I looked at it. I tried, I played D&D long before that, and it was, but anyway, so I'm a generalist. I like to be able to do whatever. And for me, playing Skyrim is more of living in a world than it is setting myself a goal. So out of the close to 3,000 hours I've played of the game, I have literally only finished the main quest twice.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Do you feel you had this experience of having a pre-character? Like, this kind of goes to Victor's point about using the console, but those poor people on actual consoles like Michael maybe can't do this, but do you feel you go through this experience where, like, you have this idea for your character, but you called it grinding or whatever, but you have this sort of this pre-character where, like, I just need to get to, like, this perk and that perk and maybe this armor skill level so I can craft that. Like, there's sort of this strange, like, vague area where, like, every Skyrim character is sort of the same until you kind of, like, you tip over to whatever your particular imagination for the character is. Like, there's this run up of like every character from X to Y is kind of the same. I mean, because I occasionally sort of bump into that. Like, I run around, I feel like I'm going somewhere different, but the beginning feels the same. Is it just me, or?
No, you're right.
I think you're right.
That is why, you playing on a PC has the advantage of being able to, change your character's fundamental levels from the outset, if you want to, after you've played, hundreds and hundreds, thousands of hours. Yeah.
Michelle,
Bethesda doesn't send you the password to do that until you crack 1,000.
Until you crack 1,000.
You're on the mailing list, and you got to be a subscriber.
Well, I've even done. For instance, Keiko is a good example. So if I had I did this with one of my random rolls. It was a character that for some reason everything hit in sort of the arcane / archery or alchemy, and so I said, I thought, you know what, this character is an alchemist from the outset. So Keiko happens to have a little debug section in one of the MCM tabs where you can set the character to know all the ingredients.
Yeah.
You don't have to learn any of them. And so I for that one, I said, that's cool. I'm going to use that because this guy is already an alchemist. That was great. It was so much fun. It was so much more fun than having to grind up all that and learn all those out, or memorize this stuff. I know enough about the vanilla alchemy system that I know which ingredients, imp stool and swamp fungal pod and all these things that I need for a paralyzed potion or whatever. But Keiko is so much more complex.
I've had training wheels forever. I can't get by without Sky UI. And then to start over with Keiko, which is, like, as you say, so much deeper, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is like a seminar course on alchemy, my God. Like, I'm not bad mouthing at all. I've really focused more on the cooking side so far, because that's kind of what initially got me excited.
Cooking's a lot of fun, and it really makes cooking worthwhile. But
did I not complain to you that cooking wasn't a skill?
Yeah.
Like, well, you download this Keiko mod. Sure enough,
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But
Michelle was saying he's looking to start a magic user, but since he doesn't really know anything about those disciplines, it's going to be hard for him to create it realistically. But he's definitely not a challenge, how playing isn't all iron or doing this or that specifically. He tends to only care about the story he's writing with his character.
I hear a lot of that. I feel like I kind of straddle those worlds. Like, I'll have a sense of who is this person, whatever sort of, race or whatever I'm going to choose. Like, who is, and sometimes I just make a dead is dead character and I just randomize them and, kill them in 15 minutes. But who is this person? But then, like, what will the challenge be? Like, not to go too far into like talk about my character, but the woman I'm playing most recently is this idea that And sometimes it depends. Sometimes I start on the one side, sometimes I start on the other. But it's this idea that what I wanted to try to do with her, I have this idea in my brain that I think a really interesting assassin would be one that never carried a weapon, never wore armor, and relied entirely on like the bound weapons and their magical skill and stuff. Because if you think about it, like I could walk through, if I was in real life, if I had those capabilities, like I could walk through a security check, not set off any alarms, be in the party, and then boom, do what I got to do, vanish, whatever, and disappear, right? So, and this was a setup to play the Dark Brotherhood, which I'm doing for the first time. But then I start thinking to myself, okay, so obviously if you're going to rely on magic, high elf makes sense. So then this tips over into the story, like, well, who is this high elf that's going to have these abilities and skills and this ability to kill, but you're sort of a free agent, right? So this is built into this concept of like, I figured that she was basically like the equivalent of sort of like not a justiciar, but something in that realm where like you're kind of like, you are a black on black Thalmor agent. We are training you to do this, but you know, the first time we send you to, you know, kill a family of Talos worshippers or something, you have remorse, you have regrets, you can't sort of get over the killing of innocents for ideological reasons, and you know, so she ends up sort of getting ousted, which is how I explain why she was in Helgen and starts her life with nothing but some of these skills. So I sort of try to straddle these two things where like sometimes it'll be a story and then you pick a challenge, but I often find there's a really interesting like marriage there between those two things, and that you can start on either end of that spectrum and come up with something sort of interesting. I think, you know, it's often how I find myself ending up doing it. You know what I mean? Because it's not enough for me to just like, I want 101 handed. Yeah. I mean, sometimes that's fun. Like I've totally built I built a really like high end vampire recently because I wanted to know what it was like to play a high end vampire. And I did not want to put in all the time in the game to do that. Right. So I totally went around the world and I used awesome follower tweaks or amazing follower tweaks to force every vampire to be my companion until I hit the maximum. And I had a little coven in what was it like? Was it Frostflow Lighthouse?
Yes,
was my home.
Oh, nice.
Home base. So yeah, I gathered up this cadre of vampires. So like I took the woman from like Blue Palace, and I went down and I got the woman from the mill, and you know, so on and so forth.
Oh, like Anga's mill or whatever.
Yeah, and then Dengir's cousin, uncle, brother, whatever.
Half Moon Mill is the one that has.
Oh, they have the two vampires.
Yeah, for sure. So I went and like recruited a bunch of these people, and I built a vampire coven, and then it was just ridiculous because you talk about like Andrew talks about walking around with an army already. Yeah. Well, when it's an army of vampires, it gets delicious. I mean, oh my god, you know. Or talking about armies, I saw a picture. I wanted to play like a Roman soldier, like be a true Imperial. So who is this guy? He's going to run the Civil War, obviously. Again, I used amazing follower tweaks to like build a little crew behind him, right? And so on and so forth. So sometimes it's a mechanical reason, you know, but that kind of instigates a character, or just I want to try and sample the game in a particular way. Yeah. But I don't know about. It's never quite satisfying if there isn't a who are you in there.
Yeah, I get that.
A straight mechanical experience isn't enough. You know?
Yeah, that's it. Michelle was clarifying that the challenge for him is to follow the guidelines he's decided to take and have the character react in the appropriate way to what the game throws.
Especially the first time it's inconvenient at a significant point in the story or something. Right? You're like, no potions, right? And then you're down to like 6 hit points, and like you've robbed all the vegetables, you've eaten 19 potatoes, you got 9 hit points now. Like, you know what I mean? And you're like, oh god, just one potion, no one's looking, right? But yeah, it's hard to stick to that stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting because that is kind of the opposite of the way I play the game. I sort of walk, and that's the fits and starts approach. I walk into the game, and granted, now I'm starting to tweak it with the console, but I walk into the game and sort of let the game take me where it goes, rather than having a preconceived notion and then trying to make that work in the game. I just sort of let the game throw me things. It's the same reason I like to draw tarot and roll the cubes. It's because I want those random events to happen. And Skyrim is very good at that. It's one of it may be even the best game of all time when it comes to that. Certain things will happen serendipitously that just blow your mind. You know, you I can't give you a specific example right now, but there's things.
I know what you mean.
You know, an NPC will walk up to you with a random line, and you go, "Holy shit! how did you know to say that right now?
Yeah.
It is amazing when that works out.
It is. It really is. It's just it's very cool. So yeah. But those are, I guess, and really those are the two great approaches to playing a game that's been around for, we're coming up on almost 10 years, which is pretty amazing.
Oh yeah.
I'm not old enough for Skyrim to be 10 years old, don't you think?
Yeah. How did this happen?
Yeah. And for a game that's remained fresh and so playable for so long, even in its vanilla form, that is why.
Yeah, because I still pick up the vanilla form every once in a while when I play on Switch. That's generally like when I'm traveling and stuff, but it's still like I can hop in and play for 10, 15 hours. And
oh yeah, absolutely.
Like,
what was the first thing I did on when I put Skyrim on my Switch was something that I had actually never done in all the years that I'd played Skyrim before. Was do all the Stones of Baron's Eye.
Oh yeah. And that's hard. Oof.
Yeah,
that's hard vanilla.
Like, okay, I'm forced to play vanilla. I'm going to do that. I've never done it. So yeah,
and that's crazy too. That can happen. Like I'm 800 hours in, and I'm playing the Dark Brotherhood for the first time.
Right.
Like, I don't feel that I lost anything in those previous 800 hours.
No.
Yep.
But no, Michael, how do you arrive at a character? I guess I kind of went off for a little bit about how I do it, but
yeah, I don't know. I think I go through cycles where like sometimes I feel like doing something very mundane, like the survival one that I had on the last console one I had was a survival one,
or being a vegan.
Yeah, well, I had the vegan character on
awesome.
on 360, which was not simple. Skyrim is not really friendly to vegans. Just say.
There's no coconut milk in Skyrim.
There's not.
Yeah.
And you don't even know what the robes are made of, so you're just guessing half the time. But
and the soy farms are so far apart.
They really are. Yeah. A lot of leeks. You're eating a lot of leeks. But it's yeah. Sometimes I just want a mundane experience where I'm just in the world. Like the last character was just, I'm going to go to the mines and mine stuff and make stuff and sell it and just hang out in my hut at night, make some food, go to sleep, go mine some more, make some stuff. Like sometimes I just want to do that. Sometimes I want to, like now after so much time, I want to like do specific things a lot of times. It's not too often I pick up a character and want to like do the whole scope of the world again, and that's nothing against the world. It's just, I don't know how many hours in am I at this point. Right. What are we, 3,000 plus hours or whatever. So like I have real targeted thing. Like if I'm going to do the Mages College, I really want to just do the Mages College and be a mage and kind of do the things that surround that. I don't need to do every single guild or faction and all that. It just doesn't feel like it fits a story. It's great to experience when you're playing the game originally, that you get to experience everything with one character. But I think when you get further along, it's just nice to target those things and kind of vet them out a little further,
Do you find with your in the world characters that like story emerges as you play them? Like I have an example. I won't answer my own question, but I can think of personally one. That's what I ask you. Like does stuff emerge out of these?
Oh, for sure. Like as you pop up, as the quests that you normally come across come up, you're like, oh, well, I could do this with this person instead then, and have them start doing this kind of thing since they stumbled upon this, And some of that may be subconsciously finding quests that I already know exist, but hard to know if that's the case or not.
That's an interesting point because that's something I hate to sort of keep pounding or whatever shilling for them, but that's something that Character Crusade does really well. Mm-hmm. He's really good at anticipating things that he knows are about to happen, and making them work for a new character. And that's something that's also a really, really fun way of just playing the game, because it's really there's a lot of positive feedback to that. If you know the game that well that you can create a scenario out of something that you know is going to happen and make it feel new and different, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It feels really successful. And also it's difficult to do. It takes a lot of attention to detail. By the way, I was just looking this up because I remember one of the earliest that I remember anyway, characters that was created by a YouTube person. That's a simple living in the world character.
Okay.
It goes way back to 2012. Does anybody remember Rags to Riches, Olaf's Diary?
Oh my
If
gosh!
they don't,
Yeah.
look it up. It's a lot of fun. It's just Olaf was I believe the point was to buy Proudspire Manor, and there was the only way he was going to do it was simply by farming and buying things. No conflicts, no fighting, no nothing. He was just going to, farm cabbages and sell them and stuff. And he did it. He went from rags to riches and bought Proudspire Manor and then finished that. It's like, I forget how many. There's several videos. They're very short. They're very funny. And it's a lot of fun. So everybody should look it up. Rags to Riches. It's way back in July of 2012.
Wow, I vaguely remember that actually. Yeah.
And it is an alchemist. I started off chopping wood, and ended up, like building a hearthfire home or something. Like,
yeah.
That's bankrupting the economy with my alchemy skill.
Yep.
I don't think I could have poked a water skin with a dagger by the end of it, but.
That's right.
That's
exactly.
definitely fun. Yeah. Speaking of hearth fires, I remember somebody had I forget who it was exactly, brought it up on the Facebook group about doing the hearth fires as the next round table, and I do really like that idea still, because it's more than just building the houses. You have to have access to those houses in each hold. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's the questing ahead of time.
Yeah, and money.
Because they often pop up they've often popped up in the round tables as your particular house.
Yeah,
but they don't seem to focus around getting, what did you do to get the Jarl?
Yeah,
that might be interesting to zero in on that a little bit.
Yeah, I really like that one because it's one we really haven't explored. I'd like to, and I don't think I've ever built. I mean, I think I've built them all. I don't know.
Yeah,
not in the same game for sure.
Personally, I'm looking forward to the quarrying round table. Like when you come back and all you've done is dig, stone and clay. And,
I have 25,000 stone.
That's right. It's a flooring episode. That'll be fantastic.
And I crawled.
There'll be a heated debate over whether it's extra bedrooms or alchemy tower.
Yeah.
But your skills would.
Did we put the children's bedroom in, or didn't we?
Yeah.
What do you envision as the end game of a round table like that?
I guess just complete. That would just be completing the buildable hearthfire houses. I would assume, not fully completing them, but building them and furnishing them and all that. I guess would be the ends to that.
And would you run everybody down a different house, or everyone's got to get all three, or whatever it is?
No, I think the idea was to do all three.
Okay.
Or so
there's got to be a hook though.
Yeah. I would have to see how the quests line up exactly, what you have to do for each one. You know what I mean? If there's some connective tissue between them somehow.
Well, let's see. Falkreath, you just have to sort of stroke Siggeir a little bit. That one's not too hard.
That one's pretty simple.
Skald is a little tougher. I forget what the main...
Giant killing, I think, with him or something.
It's giant you have
killing,
to help.
Maybe?
That's help my people. But I believe you have to start off by doing the Vermina quest. To get Skald to talk to you about it, and then for Winstad, which is actually my favorite of the three properties.
Me too.
You have to do the little vampire quest line with Movarth, and in order to get Idgrod to talk to you about that. So And that's tough. Mobar is tough to kill when you're low level.
He certainly
It's
is.
doable.
Yeah. He is.
Well, Lakeside's the one to start with for sure. Siggy just sends you a letter at like level 9. You go down and talk to him. Yeah.
That one's pretty.
That
simple,
one's just a money problem.
Yeah.
At that stage of the game, that's just a money problem.
Michelle said the giant killing is level 22 after Vermina.
There you go. That's right. There's a level restriction on that one as well. So
so that's pretty decent level. So you would have to work some other stuff in with it. Yeah. For level.
Well, how are you making your money for Sid gears, right? Like, are you doing enchanting? Are you doing alchemy? Are you doing smithing? Like, you'll probably, if you're clever with your money, you might be able to get there.
I don't think something. I think if we want to talk roundtable stuff, I think we've done a lot of over the years. We've done a lot of roundtables that are centered around existing content.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Let's get creative with it.
It's a good idea.
It doesn't have to be with mods, although mods would be fine.
It's
almost everybody now can use mods. Most of the people who are going to be doing roundtable either have Xbox or PC, and we could add in some mods if people feel comfortable with it. But I think we could get creative with storylines. Maybe actually create some storylines around the 3 Hearthfire homes. That might be fun.
Yeah, have like a certain you obviously have your prerequisites that you have to hit to get the homes, but have kind of a story to build up to get to those points. Yeah.
Oh, see, I know what I'd love to be. I would love to be the cold-hearted assassin who no, bear with me. The cold-hearted assassin who has like this moment of awakening or whatever, right? And turns over a new leaf after killing Grelka, whatever her name is, in the
the orphanage, Greylada.
So my particular goal with that character would be that like I would need housing for all these poor children.
That is an interesting.
You see what I mean? Instead of going on and continue to be a murderer, I can't. Not only were their lives awful by this horrible person, there'll just be some other horrible person that'll come in and take over, right, or whatever, right? But in the kindest, most undangerous way, like you collect children. Is the goal is to give them all a better life. So you become very magnanimous, and this is sort of like your penance. You can even juice your character substantially and sort of give them, if you wanted, some of these very hardcore assassins skills, make them an established assassin. You've got some story, they've come in across from Morrowind or Cyrodiil or whatever, and maybe that's why you got caught in the wagon, like a job gone bad, or it went well but you still got caught. But this is sort of like penance, you know what I mean? This is a movie trope we're talking about, but that might be one way to that one person's go could be that could be one person's reason,
Mm-hmm.
That does make sense, because then you could you would have to build all the children's bedrooms as opposed to the other parts of it, and maybe work somehow alchemy into it, where you would have to build the alchemy towers and all of them, because that's how you're making your living somehow.
Sure, or if you were more of a smith inclined character, depending on what you rolled for your craft skill, you could pick different things in your houses, right?
That's how you focus your house.
Yeah.
Well, but and then of course then that adds another layer to why do you have a steward or a housecarl, right? Well, this is a guardian for these children.
Yep.
And try to match them in a particular way, whether it's if there's elven children and an elven steward, that kind of thing. There could be some interesting little ways to go through that, right?
Are all the children Nords in Skyrim?
Redguard.
There's Redguard and Nord, I think, right?
Yeah,
Nord?
I think. Oh, yeah. The Redguard, yeah.
And Imperial, yeah.
Wow, that's it. Yeah,
there's mods that add Argonian Khajiit, and there's even recent mods that add giant children and stuff. But yeah, it's...
See, now it makes sense when they come up to your house.
They're looking for their children. Yeah,
they want their children back. Absolutely, yeah.
Where the 2 houses that get giant attacks are Lakeside and Helyarkin, right? The Winstead doesn't get any.
There are 3 giant camps that doofus, he sells you the worst piece of real estate.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, they just constantly come walking up that road.
Yeah.
Although to be fair to that Jarl, he is the reason that I now know how to kill giants consistently with success, because you had to deal with it. You had to go clean out these areas, right? So, so I had a lot of reloads, thanks to Old Scald or whatever.
I never kill giants.
That's a good point.
Just like rabbits. I don't kill rabbits either.
Yeah, me either. I don't think I ever have, really. Maybe once.
Well, I would love to do another Skyrim roundtable.
I think that's definitely a project for the fall. We have a little bit left on the Oblivion one. We're only doing that once a month generally, though, so we could even start in between that. So
I'm excited for the next Let's Play. I want to hear this, like, not literally here, but I'm teasing you a little bit, but I want to see this Breton mage in action. I think that'll be interesting,
Yeah, I got them started now, so probably once I get back from San Diego in a week or so, I should be able to, because it'll kick off, I have to get to level 10, because I'll kick it off with Meridia's Beacon. Because I think
that's where you're going to start.
That's the most organic for the Daedric quest lines.
Yeah, fair enough.
To link those, and the beginning part of the story is, because we've done the mages, we've done College of Winterhold before, so I'm not going to do too much of that quest line. I kind of want to use it just to get into the Daedric stuff. Because I think
isn't there a low level Daedric Lord? You find the hand down in the midden. You got to put rings on it. You can get a treasure map off them, or am I
oh yeah, that's the there's the rings in the chest that you have to steal or something.
That's not a Daedric Lord.
That's
though.
That's a Dremora, right?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
But yeah,
it'd be fun tying those together, though. It'd be fun to see how you tie them all together.
Yeah, that's definitely some research I got to do a little more of on how to. I figured the Meridia one is the easiest because that's just going to show up randomly in a chest when I'm doing normal mages college stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to show up as soon as I get to level 10 anyway. So I don't really have to do anything out of the scope of what the character is kind of doing anyway.
But that's your first taste of working for a higher power that's sort of tangible and manifesting, right? I like that idea that that's the kickoff,
Yeah, I feel like that, as far as getting into the Daedric stuff, that's the easiest entry point, is Meridia.
Yeah, Azura Star is well explained by being a mage.
Just also right in town. Yeah. I don't know if there's
that makes sense.
I don't know if there's a level cap on that or not, Azura Star. Not sure.
But the game will show you what the level cap is. When you try to do it.
Oh yeah, it'll let me know. I don't know if there's a requirement though before starting that. I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
For Azura
Maybe you have to be in the guild. Do you have to be in the Mages College to get him to talk?
That's possible.
Maybe
that
I don't know.
I don't know.
I've only done it once. So.
It's been a while since I've done that one.
No, someone has to tell you to go to the shrine.
Yeah, it's probably
might even be like a random guard comment. Maybe.
Yeah, there probably is a level where that happens.
Yeah, they start just saying, "Oh, you should go do this and that." But
yeah, because I know
the Herstein one will be interesting.
Yeah, that's a bit different. Compared to the other ones. The Molag Bal one, of course, always fun.
So I would say, speaking of all these Daedra, etc., everybody should be watching for Enai's, I think, coming soon, mod called Winter Sun. It's going to be his religion mod. He's been posting very regularly about it, and I believe that now that we're in July, he's out of school for the summer. So by the end of the summer, I suspect we're going to see that. So I mentioned that because if we're going to do any kind of modded roundtable, Winter Sun should be included.
For
if it has anything to do with Daedra or Divines.
That makes sense, yeah.
Because there's some amazingly good ideas in here. I'm just looking through the Patreon right now. It's just some awesome stuff. Very much, Enai Scion style stuff. If you have you tried his Andromeda Standing Stones mod at all? I believe that's on Xbox.
I just added it for the first time. Yeah,
I think you'll like it. It's great. So all of that stuff integrated, and to your point earlier, Steve, I think all of his mods together do, in fact, change the game substantially. I think you're right on that. I've been thinking about it since you brought that up. And with all of them, Ordinator, Apocalypse, Thunderchild, the only thing he really hasn't touched is Alchemy. Probably because Cryptopure has done it so well with Keiko. But all the other stuff, I think you're right. It does substantially change the game.
And one other stray thought, you were talking about adding story to the round table. You've always played your characters as individuals who are kind of experiencing the same thing differently, right? Like we're all going to go do, Ember Shard Mine. What was it like as a mage? What was it like as a fighter? Whatever. What if, because this sort of popped into my head when you talk about religion, but you could work it in any number of ways. What if you were a cadre? And the story that you're telling is each of you accomplishing different goals in Skyrim. So it does bend the idea of how is the experience of a different character. But what if it was more like we're a little more homogenous because we're a holy order, but we're facing different challenges?
How could we work?
You know what I mean? Something like that. Like you get where I'm going anyways, right?
No, yeah, totally. I wonder how we could actually work that in. It'd be like almost as if we were playing. You're
a guild. You're a guild of your own, or an order of your own.
Yeah, but it would. How could we sort of make that work when Skyrim doesn't support, cross-platform play and so on?
No, you don't have to do it together. You don't have to do it together. It'd be individual experiences just to report on. But let's say, for sake of the argument, you are a cadre of high elves. You come in. So one of you want to kill the Emperor because you want to weaken them. Another one, you want to support the Stormcloaks to foment civil war. So you get someone who's going down the Dark Brotherhood. You get someone who's going down the Civil War quest, like and so on and so forth. You see what I'm saying? Like you could pick
no, that's a great idea.
You want to accomplish this overall goal, and maybe someone is sort of main questing it because you do or don't want. Like you pick what your resolution might be ahead of time. You do or don't want. So part of the like the meetup on the podcast is that you've played, but we always do a little preamble before these things. So could you work out like why each of you is doing these things and invent like ideas for how they've synergized along the way? Like it's almost like you wouldn't have to role play it per se, but I mean, if you wanted to, that would be interesting as well. But this idea that like, well, how far have you gotten, Ted, dealing with the Stormcloaks? And
why not bring a little bit of D&D into it just slightly and say, all right, maybe what we really need for something like that would be something like a DM. We don't have to play by D&D rules or anything, but somebody who's the impresario of the for instance, the latest season of Skyrim Unbound, which is Character Crusade's latest thing. Everybody started at
you're on somebody else's podcast, okay? Like I'm teasing you.
Yeah, I know, but they
Skyrim Book Club at least once. Come on. Sorry, go.
I think they mentioned you that episode. Yeah, it must have been. Yeah, I think they did. Yeah, it was Skyrim Book Club. Yeah. Anyway, everybody started at one spot.
Yeah,
there's a little camp up above Haldir's Cairn, and then the story went from there. But essentially, the idea was that anybody could do whatever they wanted, but there is a sort of a story framework that like
there were touch points you all had to reach, maybe
very much to your
like
point,
or milestones, maybe is a better term.
Yeah, very much the same kind of thing. So that might work really well, and the Hearthfire houses could be sort of the the glue that holds it all together.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I didn't think about houses, but
yeah. Michelle was saying the fun part of the round table is to hear the different takes on the same content.
Yeah. No, I agree, and clearly I was sort of spitballing something that's different than that. I think that's the meat and potatoes, like that. I'm a character nerd. I mean,
there's no reason why we couldn't lose that.
1,500 save files, most of them different characters over the years, right? Like, I get you. I want to see what it's like to do this as a mage, and what it's like to do this as a wizard, or a fighter, etc., etc. What if I never ate meat? So on and so forth, or only. Like Leaf, the guy that I was doing on the live stream, he kind of reached the end of his life, but it was like he's a nature themed, green pact focused person who only does nature themed quests. I hit the 5 available in the game, and there we go.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So I like I definitely agree with Michelle. I mean, that's that's the joy of the round table, especially when you're mismatched.
Yeah,
It always seems like Colin. Colin is so much fun to listen to.
Oh gosh,
my God, he loves him some E for excellent though. But anyways, because man, he'll succeed really well, or he'll come up against something that like I'm a heavy armored 2-handed pickpocket. And I can't grind sneak. What's this about? Weird positions, right?
Yeah, or you're heavy armored and you can't put any points in the stamina.
That's right. That's right.
You're putting it
on. Stamina's 1. Yeah.
My Slythe Aaron character was 0 health.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh my God, you played the whole game with 100 health. That's fantastic.
Well, no, because you can get amulets and rings and everything else, but he couldn't take any levels in health. Yeah.
Also, Roundtable is what's convinced me that Andrew is a cheaty McCheater face. Because every time he's on there, he's like, enchanting's the easiest one to do. And I'm standing here like, what are you talking about? I've never hit 100 in enchanting. It's so expensive. He's like, I did that at like 5, and he's level 7. He's got 100 enchanting. Like, what are you doing?
That's because Andrew loves to grind. And that's that's awesome. I think he has no problem with that. I hate it. I hate grinding. So,
but the cost in soul gems alone to get to 100 enchanting, like where is he doing that before level 10? How is that happening?
It depends on what you sell. Yeah, you can do it. You can build up. Enchanting levels up so quickly.
Yeah,
I want to run a store selling whenever Andrew's selling.
Well, it's the same thing with alchemy in the vanilla game. If you just grab a whole buttload of hanging moss and blue mountain flower, and then make yourself that some kind of anti-stamina potion, some regen thing, and they start out at base level for 250 gold, and you just grind that up, make 150 or 200 of those, and your alchemy is at level 60 or 70.
So what he's doing is he's putting muffle on boots all the time. Is that what Andrew's doing?
He wishes.
He's just selling those. That's how he's doing it. Yeah.
Yeah,
he wishes he was.
I actually found a set of those, and I cackled, and 9 o'clock at night. What are you doing? You don't have the context, but yeah, I finally found a set of them somewhere, and I just
take a screenshot and post it.
The urge to take the piss out of him was strong. Let me tell you. It was terribly strong. Yeah.
Oh man. That is good. Yeah, we'll definitely have to get another Skyrim roundtable going.
Good.
I did have I had 2 quick emails.
Nice.
One from Michael, who's doing a 24-hour stream. Actually, he's on Twitch, Lotus OD, and it's for he kind of found us because he also does some charity drives for CF as well. So this kind of ties in with that. So he's I was clicked on it and then I lost it. There we go. Level Up for Lungs, and they're doing it this Saturday Saturday and Sunday on Twitch, the 14th and 15th, 24 hours. So, and it goes through the Children's Organ Transplant Association.
Nice. So
it's twitch.tv/LotusOD. Let me double check that, I guess. Yeah. LOTUSOD. So check those out, and because they're doing the charity drive for that. And somebody had emailed me. Where did it go? Let's see if I can pull it up. There we go. Oh, Adam just started listening to the show. He kind of kicked off on number 80 since the other ones are missing for some strange reason. But I let him know where to find those, and he's playing on Switch, so I was like, those early episodes are definitely, like, if you're playing on Switch, the early episodes are pretty good analog, because I was playing on 360 that whole time. So
that's a real good take on the vanilla game. 100%.
Yeah, it's pretty, and even those early roundtables are all, I would say 90% were pretty vanilla at that point. The first and second roundtable and all, because they were pretty early on. So those are on there too. Right now, I think I'm up to 22 I've posted of the lost episodes. They're going to start getting longer, so that's going to make it a little. I'm going to be able to post a little less of them. I think I'm going to bump up the thing for a few months. They put a few more out though. But yeah, because the early episodes were easy. I could put like 10 of them.
Yeah, it's like, hi, I'm Michael. Yeah.
Hey, I played some Skyrim. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I over here stole this gem, and that's my Skyrim this week. Have a good one.
Yeah. So then they start getting longer and longer and longer and longer. So, and then we get into the round table. Some of those were like 3 hours long or something. Those early round tables. So I'm gonna have to figure out. I may have to post those differently because they're super long. So I'll have to...
That's the Joe Rogan commitment right there.
Yeah,
that you're asking people to make. I mean, they're good for sure. But
yeah, I would like to have. It would be nice to be able to. I see if I can go through those old round tables and maybe find a way to put them all together or something. And that might be a good way to do it. Put it in like a Dropbox folder for accessibility or something. I'm not sure. I have to think about that. But thanks to the people who found the show. And what was the other thing? I don't know. I was thinking of something. I don't remember now. I lost my train of thought. I was on my way to Sarthal, so I lost my train of thought as I was walking there.
Sarthal will do that to you.
Yeah, well, especially at level 0. I was hoping that nobody was... because I did the alt start right at the college. So it picked me up right there speaking to Mirabelle.
Did you have any ability to get past her? Oh, no, sorry, you were inside.
It automatically, if you do the alt start where it's you're in one of the guilds, it takes you to the front door where your Arcano's standing, and she's there right before she takes you on the walking tour to your room, and then you head back in to do the ward spell with Tolfdir.
Yeah, no, that's good planning, because otherwise, like, you hope to God she wants you to cast flames or healing, because otherwise, like, we're done here.
Yeah, other's I'm leaving because I don't even have money to get a spell.
We're doing a new alt start.
Yeah, we're doing something else. Yeah, exactly. And let's see, what else was there? Oh, I don't know. I don't know when the next Oblivion Roundtable is. End of this month sometime. Probably end of July. So I'm going to guess.
You should do one live from San Diego with Juan.
I know. Well,
is it?
Wait, is Juan recording? 10 AD's recording this weekend, right?
Yeah, 3:00 on Sunday.
Is Juan playing?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he's in the game, no.
I could theoretically.
I don't think I hear him. It's on your feed, mister.
Well, I didn't know if he had hopped on recently.
Oh, okay. I'm teasing.
No, it's Pat and myself and Andrew and Colin, and Ray.
Yeah.
Yes, and Ray.
And that's it. Yeah.
And that last fourth one, I don't know what number was it. The fourth one, I confused the two because there's a bunch on the Patreons and then there's the ones on the feed. Yeah. I think it's like the fourth or fifth one just came out on this feed the other day, but there's way more.
You're on 6, I think, because it popped up, and I'm like, wait, did they change the recording day?
Yeah.
You don't want me to show up. You can just tell me. Because all I see is Skyrim Addict, new episode. I'm like, what? But yeah, I think you're at 6.
Yes, yeah, Andrew posted that. Yeah, it was 6. That's it. And then there's more than that on the.
We need to catch up because there's a bunch. We're up to like 8 or 10 or something like that.
Yeah, he can he can post them a little faster. We can post them a little faster, especially through the summer here. Let's get them out there for people to hear.
Yeah, and because we had a couple of real sort of just character development episodes that didn't have a lot of.
And it would help if they were closer together for people to. Yeah.
So, we're sort of getting into the meat of it now. So things are popping. Which is great because my local game just sort of devolved. It disappeared, unfortunately. So, because I've been playing every 2 weeks here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but sadly that ended.
Fell apart.
So, yeah, it's a good game too.
Oh,
nice level 11 rogue.
Well, that's what happens. Nobody gets past level 10 in D&D. You know that, right?
Yeah. Well, we had a big storm here, and that ended things, and then one of the members is a fireman, and his schedule changed, and then life happened everywhere else, and just. But we have a new game store opening up across the river, so.
There you go.
And they have an extra room for gamers, so we're good.
And for those who love D&D, support the ASA Patreon. You get the episodes earlier.
Yep.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Keep these feeds alive, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. Yeah, we got them going.
And honestly, it's worth it because Colin has done.
Oh my God, he's done an amazing job. Yes,
with adapting Skyrim to 5th edition. It's just he's really hit it out of the park. I
that does feel seamless. It doesn't feel like he's sort of duct taped it on top of the game.
Not at all.
Like that part, 100%. I'll give
it was
you. Like,
a perfect,
smooth. You know,
it was a brilliant stroke to set it 10 years in the future. It's perfect. He's just
and his first time doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his first time DMing.
Yeah, and going that smooth and amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like you're trying to squeeze Skyrim onto the D&D system. Do you know what I mean?
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's really,
I think they adapt well. I think 5th edition and Skyrim are very similar in a lot of ways in terms of their evolution from previous games like Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim in 3rd, 4th, and 5th edition. I think it makes I think 5th edition is the Skyrim of D&D in a lot of ways.
So I guess that's all we got. Let's make sure folks can obviously we can find Steve, Skyrimbookclub.ca. Where else?
Well, we've got Skyrim Book Club on iTunes, at least a couple hundred episodes. You find the rest on the website. YouTube.com/Skyrim Book Club. Thank you,
There
Andrew.
we go.
Thank you, Andrew. He got me my name. He did. He found some old account. Don't tell YouTube. He found some old account and got me from like 99 to 100. So bing, Skyrimbookclub.ca. YouTube/Skyrim Book Club. And then, of course, as we were talking about at the front of the show, thank you for letting me pitch it, Michael. Skyrim Book Club Arcanium Edition is now on iTunes and Google Play as well. So look for that. That's your fresh content. And that'll just be going in perpetuity, I guess. Sir.
Yeah. So make sure you subscribe to that because it's separate from regular Skyrim Book Club. Victor, your YouTube?
Yeah, I'm still languishing at about 66 or 67 subscribers. So I am not the amazing content creator that Steve is. I'm not famous, but yeah, no. So yeah, my website is theopen.world, and there's some links there to my YouTube. It's a lot easier than saying it's youtube.com/4vy/7e small lowercase 735.
That's why we need to get this to 100. We got to get Victor to 100. I did find you by
searching the open world, by the way. But yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
You can. Yeah. Actually,
you can give $1 to Patreon, or you can give a sub to Victor.
Yes, exactly.
No, do both. Give the $1 to Patreon. Much more important.
Yes,
that's right. And then I'll sub to Victor if you give $1.
Anyway, so I'm creating content occasionally, and the whole idea behind the open world isn't just about games. It's about a life of fantasy and reality. So I am actually working on more. Since it's hiking season, I'm working on more hiking videos and things that I'm going to start uploading to that. So that's the whole idea behind the open world. It's not just about open world games.
And when the bear comes out of the bush on a hiking trip, so you'll be prepared, right?
Yeah.
Like these two worlds will merge.
I had a wonderful bear.
Skyrim, we will flee the bear.
But I did not have time to get my little iPhone out with the video. Mama and 2 cubs.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Thanks to Michelle for hopping in the chat, and we've been doing these live on YouTube, but through the Patreon. And then they just come up on the feed right after. But if you want to be in the chat, that's a good way to go. And thanks to everybody who supports the shows. It's why the feeds are up there. And and I think we're slightly over what we're spending, so that money's going to go towards Cystic Fibrosis Foundation in the fall when we set up our date for the which actually we have to do. It's getting closer than I realized. So
October will come fast. Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming way quicker than I realized. I'm like, oh my god, it's already July. Whoa, we better, we might want to schedule something.
Let's do it.
So we'll be having our what do we do? Like 12 hours. I think that's as much as our bodies can handle sitting in one place, right?
Was it 12 or 18? I don't remember. I thought it was like. No, you're right. It was 12.
I think it was 12. Like, isn't it 9 to 9 or something? We did something like that. Yeah. And then last year, obviously, we had Shalene and Rick and Vendertron on help out as well.
Yep.
Hopped in and did an hour or so. So we'll be doing that again in October. And unfortunately, it won't line up with Fallout 76, which I really wanted it to do, because I'm going to be on vacation.
That would be fun. Well, we should also don't forget that because you mentioned it earlier. What's it called? Pardon me, Extra Life. That's on November 3rd, so we don't want to compete with that.
Okay, yeah, definitely not. Definitely not.
So
we'll have to bandy about some dates and see exactly what lines up for everybody. I think November 3rd, I'm running 30 miles anyway, so.
Working up to your ultras.
Yeah. I was hoping there's one here right down the street that I'll be going to, where I always run anyway. So why not pay to run it?
Might as well.
It's more fun that way. But
you have an advantage because you'll know the terrain, sir.
I do. Yeah, I do. I was out there alone this weekend, and you come across something and you're like, that's disconcerting. And then you're like 10 miles from anything or anyone.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm probably just going to keep going because that's weird.
Sounds like an open world video to me.
Yeah, it was like, you ever see the Blair Witch Project?
Yeah. Yeah, I've come across a few things like that in the woods.
Yeah. It was like a TP structure out of like burnt branches. And I was like, that's weird. I'm going to keep going.
Time to move on.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to get somewhere eventually. Not here, though.
Yeah, I know we're still alive, so but I will recount. I was walking through the woods one day, and I looked ahead of, maybe it was 150 yards, and I saw a human figure sort of run off the trail to the left.
Oh, great.
And as I got up to where the human figure had been, I looked to my right, and on top of a stump, there was a chipmunk staked out on the stump with its heart cut out. I kid you not.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I because I go out pretty deep in the woods alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, something's going to happen sometime. I know it.
It's the humans I fear. I don't fear the bear. I don't fear anything else.
Because generally the animals are going to run away from you.
Mostly.
They might, be curious or whatever.
Mama huffed at me a few days ago. She huffed and sort of went.
Well, she was with cubs, right? Yeah.
So I just backed away.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Yeah, generally the animals you're okay. It's pretty rare, but obviously bad things can happen. You can startle them, but
most monsters have two legs. I agree.
Yeah, it's the people I worry about. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm like, man, boy, there's no cell service out here.
You need a spot.
If you were with Verizon, I mean, I've seen these commercials. Your wife can hear you from anywhere. I mean, oh, good. Hey, save me.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see a person for 2 hours the other day. So, it's...
Grab a spot. They're not that expensive. And they are very handy. A lot of hikers carry them, especially hikers on the Continental Divide Trail. There's a lot of, backcountry. No cell service at all. And the spots are all satellite.
They're all satellite, yeah. Yeah, that's probably a good idea, actually.
And they're not that expensive. It's maybe at the most $10 a month.
But for safety, it's worth it.
Right.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You can send an emergency signal or whatever. Yep.
Yeah, because I was actually around the trail on Sunday too with another person I know, and he's probably in his early mid-60s, and he took a couple falls. Yeah, I mean he's in great shape, but he just happened to he was jumping a log and caught his branch and he went down. I'm like, man, if he had went down real hard and was hurt, it's like a 5-mile hike out of here. I'm like, and there's no service until I get back to the car. So, oh boy.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could carry them,
But not at a run.
but not real fast.
Yeah.
but that's been hiking with the Skyrim Addicts, and so. But thanks everybody for listening. You can email the show skyrimaddictpodcast@gmail.com, and join the Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Skyrim which is also the group for the Fallout feed and the Minecraft extravaganza that we are currently in, as well as many, and pretty much any kind of gaming you want to talk about. It's really pretty wide open about that. Yeah, it's not like we're not like super strict with that kind of stuff. But thanks everybody for listening. Goodbye to Michelle again, if you're still there. And
Good night, Michelle.
Good night, Michelle.
Take care, guys.